Hey everybody, this is Tom, otherwise known as Scary Spikes, and welcome to another Star Citizen video. Today I'll be giving you 5 more tips to make your life easier in the verse. If you haven't seen my previous video on that, make sure to click on the link on the top right hand corner of the screen and go check that out before we get into this video. Also, before we get started, I would just like to give a quick, sincere, and heartfelt thank you to Rockstar. He's one of our VIP gold contributors and has been a really key member of our community. Not only is he fun to play with and very helpful to other community members, but he's also been incredibly kind and generous in the stream as well. And I just wanted to give you my most heartfelt and sincere gratitude for being a part of this community and helping it grow to where it is today. Rockstar, thank you very much, brother. Really appreciate you being here. Before we get started also, folks, I just wanted to make sure that you enjoy the content here. So if you do, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and you can show me your appreciation by clicking on the like button there, as well as clicking on the subscribe button if you're new, and clicking on the bell so that you never miss a video in the future. Make sure to join us on stream live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Twitch, as well as to join our Discord community where you can meet, chat, and play with other community members. Links for those in the description below. Without further ado, let's get started with this video. My first tip today might be a simple and maybe even an obvious one, but it's really helpful. As we're all very well aware, Star Citizen can be a demanding game, even for those of us who have pretty good PCs. But this tip should help you out no matter which basket you fall into, whether you have a PC that's extremely capable or whether you have a PC that's lacking a little bit and needs all the help it can get. I will make a video in the future for getting more performance out of your system, but in this case, it's going to be more of a practical tip on where to spend your time in the verse. As you can see here, we're currently hanging out at Everus Harbor. This is one of the space stations available in the system of Stanton. And it really has a lot of everything that you need in the game. It has a place where you can spawn ships, it has a place where you can take a nap and relax, it has a place where you can hang out with friends and buy drinks and food. And really, at the end of the day, that's all you need from a starting location. My recommendation would be to hang out in space stations as much as physically possible. Now, yes, while it is only possible to spawn capital-sized ships on planets at landing zones such as Lorville or Area 18, honestly, most of us don't even have a capital ship, and the only one in the game at the moment is the 890 Jump, which cannot be spawned at space stations. Saving that, there's really no other benefit other than perhaps going to buy some things on the ground at a ship dealership or maybe at a supply store that would warrant you being on a planet at any given time. I would recommend that you stay on a space station like this, and you can also go into every ship that you have into one of these ship retrieval consoles and make sure to claim all of your ships so that you can make the space station your home. I've done this in numerous times at Port Olisar, and now I'm going to be doing it at Everus Harbor because this is really the place that I find that I'm meeting a lot of my friends, but additionally it's a place that I enjoy hanging out, and it also really just improves my frame rates in the game. Once you've done this, it should make it quite easy and you won't ever forget to spawn all of your ships here, and they'll all be available, of course, unless you have multiple bases of operation, in which case you can have, for example, all of your mining ships spawning at one of the L1 locations in order to be able to facilitate mining and refining, and perhaps all of your attack vessels or other ships that you like to spawn at Everus Harbor or similar locations at these space stations. It'll just make your life easier, and it will make your game run much smoother. The next tip is also quite simple, but it's one that many citizens, especially the newer ones, tend to overlook. As you can probably imagine, there are quite a number of bugs, glitches, and other issues in Star Citizen. It is in alpha, after all. As you can see here, we're kind of bugged up against the wall, and don't ask me how I got here, but there is a relatively easy solution. Of course, you can just go ahead and log out and go back in, but if you don't have an SSD, for instance, that's going to take you forever, and even if you have one, it's going to take quite a bit of time to get back into the game and get into what you were doing before. So in order to facilitate this, just go ahead and hold the backspace button, and what that's going to do is reset your character so that you can wake up in the habitation of the landing zone which you last got permission to land at. A bit of a foresight onto the next tip coming up, but that will help you to alleviate all sorts of issues by allowing you to reset your character and simply wake up to continue your travels in the verse. Note that this also does work for spaceships as well. So if you happen to be seated in the captain's seat of your spaceship and you're bogged out and you're not able to do anything, you might try to land, but you'll find that you might not be able to actually even get out of your seat. If that happens, just go ahead and hold backspace while you're in a ship, and that's going to initialize the self-destruct sequence. After a few short seconds, your ship will go boom, and you'll end up waking up in the last place where you saved your spawn. Despite what most people think, there's a much easier way to save your spawn points so that if you happen to die before you land, you can actually wake up in the place you want to wake up and not the last place that you landed. Landing itself doesn't actually set your spawn point, but contacting ATC does. And there are two ways to do it. The first is through an MFD, so you can just hold F and click on the menu button here until you get the comms to show up. Go ahead and click on the comms and wait until you're asked to contact ATC. You should get it in the middle of your screen. Since I've already gotten it and I'm quite close to the station here, I should be able to contact ATC. So at this point, I'm just going to scroll down. And as we can see there, we have Everest Harbor, and we can click on this button to contact them. The alternative way to contact them is to press F11, click on the Friends tab, and Everest Harbor or wherever you plan to land should be at the top of the list so long as you're close enough to land after you've been told that it's okay to contact ATC. Simply click on this button, and then you can close the window right away. And at this point, even if you get blown up, you should be able to spawn where you asked for permission to land. If you've ever found yourself arriving at New Babbage but dreading the possibility of being held prisoner or hostage on one of the trains heading from the spaceport over to the main city and the Commons, then have no fear, I'm here to help. First of all, when you arrive at New Babbage, it would be very helpful, at least the first time if it was daytime, so that you can see what you're doing, because you need to get an idea of the topography of the city and roughly where everything is. First and foremost, you want to get your bearings by heading over to the spaceport. The spaceport will be located on sort of the far off mountainous region here on New Babbage, and you'll want to head towards that as your main focal point before moving on to the next area. Now, this is just a way for me to do it. You might find a different way to do it that's better for you, but I'm going to show you the way that I do it so that even when it's nighttime, I can find my bearings and really find an easy way to get to the Commons without ever having to be trapped on that godforsaken train ever again. So when it's dark, you'll be able to see a bunch of red lights here, but because it's nice and bright, we can see the spaceport is just right here. Now, going from the spaceport, what you're going to notice is there's going to be a train track. And this is, of course, where most people get stuck because they're on the train and they can never get off because the door never opens. So to fix that problem, we are not going to land at the spaceport. Before we actually go anywhere, we're going to get close to the spaceport and we are going to press F11. And once you've done that, go ahead into the Friends menu here and select this. This is going to ask for permission to land, which is going to set your spawn point at New Babbage, which is helpful if you lose your ship and then you don't want to end up spawning back in another place. But what we're going to do at this point is we're going to go ahead and set our spawn point, and once we've done that, we're going to follow these tracks. Now, these tracks are eventually going to split, so we're going to follow them all the way over into the city, and you'll want to pay special attention to when the tracks split. They'll be going over a bit of an icy lake, and as we can see here, they are starting to split from left to right, and we're going to want to follow the ones on the left. This is a surefire way to find your way around, even if you're in the pitch black and it's very difficult to see. As long as you can find your bearings by locating the spaceport itself, you'll be able to find where to land at the Commons, therefore completely bypassing the need to land at the spaceport altogether. So we're going to follow these tracks, we're almost there, and as we get closer, you'll start to notice that there are 4 major buildings here that are sort of spherical or dome shaped. And once you're here, you'll know you're in the right place because this is actually the super secret ground entrance to the New Babbage Commons, which is exactly what you want. At this point, we're going to lower our landing gear and move a little bit closer. And you'll notice that we have 4 total buildings, and the one that we're looking for is the one in the middle. So what you're going to do is when you're following the tracks here, you're going to follow it all the way to the center building, and you'll want to fly around to the other side of this building, and you'll start to see this little square building here sticking out of it, as well as a little bit of a icy ramp going all the way down to the lake. If you can see this, you are in the right spot. Simply just land here, and this will be how you can enter the New Babbage Commons and go shopping and hang out with all of your friends without ever having to be a hostage on that train ever again. Now, we're pretty lucky here because there's nobody here, but there is sometimes quite a lot of ships, or there are quite a lot of ships here. This can be quite a busy area since there's quite a few people learning about this every day, but it is incredibly convenient. Actually, if you're in a smaller ship, you can even land a little bit closer and park right inside without having to worry about the weather. So you're only going to be getting some limited weather exposure here, and as you know, if you've been on New Babbage before, there can be some really bad storms here. Of course, you can just jump out of your 300i, head up these stairs over here, and inside this area. Buying ships is a quintessential part of Star Citizen. It's what makes us most happy, usually, because we get to buy that ship that we've always wanted, or that ship that we really want to flex in front of our friends. Whether you're doing the first or the latter, you'll find that buying a ship for the right reasons is often a lot better than buying it for the meta. With that being said, you can probably imagine that Star Citizen is not exactly volatile, but it can change very often and frequently, and of course, building a ship or even buying a ship for a meta is really not advised, and this is going to be my 5th tip. There are a number of different reasons why we buy ships. It could be either for pleasure or for business. At least those are the two major reasons for me. Being at the New Deal here at Lorville, we can see that we have quite a few ships available, with even more ships available at this terminal, and it's kind of like being a kid in a candy store. You're really just wanting to buy all of them, and then you come to the realization that you can't. So what do you buy? Well, I would recommend that you don't buy a ship that is based on the current meta. The reasons for this are pretty simple. Star Citizen is in such a state at the moment, even though it's growing exponentially and very quickly, and that there's a lot of progress being made in the game. A lot of these ships and their mechanics are being changed regularly. For example, in the next patch, we'll be seeing ship-to-ship docking, which will make the Connies a lot more viable than they currently are. And of course, once we get their shield holes fixed, that will make them even better. Now, the Connie is actually one of my personal favorite ships, and I love it regardless of the shield holes or the fact that it doesn't have docking as of yet. But that's just the point I'm trying to make. You should buy the ship because you like the ship and you enjoy flying it and doing stuff with it. If you're buying for the meta, you might be disappointed to know that today your ship is doing well, whereas tomorrow your ship is pretty much a floating steel garbage can in space, not able to really do the things that you thought it was going to do in the future. That being said, you can also buy the ship for business, and that is the other major reason that I have for buying specific ships. If you consider that, at least at the moment, we need a certain amount of UEC to do, well, just about everything in the game. In order to buy ship components, buy yourself a burger at the local burger place, or just buy yourself a weapon so that you can survive on your next FPS mission. Money buys pretty much everything in this game, and in order to do so, you must have it. So in order to have it, you should plan to buy a ship, especially if it's one of your first ships that can do something a lot more than just look pretty and blow stuff up. My recommendation would be to buy a ship that's capable of doing some hauling if on your current patch, hauling is something that's doable. Unfortunately, in 3.12.1, the patch that we are currently in, that is not currently possible or really viable. It is possible, but it's not viable because there is a very severe supply issue with regards to Laranite as well as other types of commodities. Now, this really highlights the issues that I felt and the conflictions that I felt after I had purchased my Caterpillar. I was really happy in 3.9 when I had my Caterpillar because I bought it for the current meta, which was a big mistake. I didn't really like trading at first, and I learned to love it because I made millions doing it. But afterwards, a few patches went by, and it turns out that not only the consoles were having trouble working, but also the fact that there was a severe supply issue. This is something that's going to be fixed in a future patch, but regardless of the fact, it didn't make me any less upset that I basically bought a big ship for transporting goods that can pretty much no longer transport goods. So buy yourself a ship, especially if it's an early ship, and make sure that that ship is something that you like to do, whether that's trading, mining, shooting stuff down, but regardless, try to make the focus of your first purchase not the meta, and in fact something that you like, and in addition, if it's possible, something that will make you some money. By having a ship that can make you money at the beginning, you are basically setting yourself up for the future, and no matter what happens, you'll have the money that you need in order to purchase the ship that is currently doing well, if you have enough money to do that. But doing so at an early stage is really a terrible idea, because you run out of money and you get to a point where you start to panic because you don't have enough money to do anything. At that point, you start to lose interest in the game and you will eventually quit because you're not having fun. So the moral of the story, just go ahead and buy a ship that, one, can make you some money, even if it's a moderate amount, something that will tide you over and be able to let you pick up that new shotgun that you've always wanted, or maybe upgrade one of the components on your ship. And also, just buy it for you and not for the meta. You'll be thankful in a few months when things change completely, and you'll still have a ship that you enjoy flying. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to two of our community members, Creepin and Gunslinger, for providing some of the tips in this video. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to click the like button to let me know that you enjoyed it, as well as to subscribe if you're new, and of course, ring the bell so that you don't ever miss a video in the future. Make sure to join us on stream live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 PM Eastern on Twitch, and make sure to join our Discord community where we have some really amazing people that want to meet, chat, and play with you so that you can learn more about the game and have people to have some fun with in Star Citizen. That being said, again, thank you so very much for watching. I hope you learned a few things and enjoyed yourself. Make sure to leave some tips in the comments below if you've got some of your own, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.